Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have a card featuring a newly released image but also from a new digital stamp brand. This adorable crab is Schnapps and it's from the Freakin Cute Stamps. These are all digital stamps. There is not only this crab in this particular digital stamp but also scenery, which is kind of the idea from the Freakin Cute Stamps illustrator. You always have a scenery and an image. You don't need to use them together, but you definitely can, and it already helps you a long way. Now for my card, I really wanted to feature this really fun crab. Actually, I was doubting about which image I wanted to feature because there are a ton of digital stamps released with the launch of this brand. So if you haven't seen it yet, shame on you, but definitely check it out. There will be a link in my description box to guide you to the site. Also, there is an Instagram page where you can already find tons of inspiration. This card also is part of an Instagram hop, which I will tell you about. There was already an Instagram hop last week. That one ended, so this one started. So you still have an opportunity to win, and each winner will receive 10 digital stamps of their choice. 10, I mean. So if you're on Instagram, definitely check out the hop along, and who knows, you might get just 10 digital stamps just for free, and there are 3 lucky winners. So that being said, this one is really cute, but I'm hoping that I will be able to feature some of the other digital stamps released, but you know me, currently time-wise, I'm not making tons of cards, so I'm trying to prioritize the ones that I have to make, the inspiration that comes along for some clear stamps that I have purchased along the way. So yeah, I am going to make a really simple card. You know me, clean and simple, that's what I do. I'm going to use one of my favorite stencils to go behind this crab. I printed it out kind of large so that it would really jump out of this card grab, and I'm going to make an interactive card. And I know what you think, huh? An interactive card? Me? Yes, I know, but it's a really simple one. I'm going to use an action wobbler, and so this crab will be wobbling along the way on my card, which actually makes it even more fun than what this crab is already. So yeah. Also, I don't know if you have the same vibe, but I'm really feeling the Little Mermaid here, like with the smile and everything. For the coloring, I'm just using a red combination. I wanted to have a really warm, bright red that is going into kind of an orangey color. So I'm using just a few markers, 4 in total. It's the R89, 46, 14, and 08. Really, really simple. I'm trying to do the shadowing sort of on the bottom of each area. And then I will work my way through my combination, of course, from darkest to lightest, as I always do. But you do you. If you prefer another order for coloring, then definitely do so. Now, normally I prefer coloring and then die cutting because I find it easier when I have like a piece of paper to twist around to get my coloring done. Now, I'm not a real good fussy cutter and I don't like fussy cutting, but to have this crab interactive, I needed to fussy cut. I knew it, so I wanted to try it out. If that wasn't working, the fussy cutting, I was going to do just a 1 layered card, same background, but just going around it. Also, if you don't have an action wobbler, I have shown it in other videos, not a ton I think, but in case you want to recreate this card without the action wobbler, there is also an option, of course, to use this stencil. And I know what you think, well, with the 1 layer card you need to create a mask. That's not always the case. Like if you use a really soft ink to go in the background and you're going to use really dark colors on the crab, it can just be that the colors that you're using to color in the crab are dark enough to cover up the fact that you ink blended over the image. I did it in the past already, tons of times with digital stamps. really often I use cracked pistachio for my ink blending when I want like a really bright, fun, light background or a sky or anything like that. Whenever I ink blend with cracked pistachio, I can go over it with my markers. Of course, if you want to color the image really, really soft, that might be a stretch. But if you're using like a red like this, you will easily cover up the fact that you ink blended over it. So there are ways to make one layer cards without masks as well. You just need to kind of feel whether you will be able to cover up your reckless ink blending or not. So I'm almost done with the coloring. It's really bright red, and I love how it turned out with the orangey hint at the end. Also, normally I go over my ink blending twice to get like the blending that I want, but in this case I just used a few markers to go a bit over all of the rest, and then I was happy with it. So I'm trying to fix here some mistakes. I went outside the lines, of course, that happens. Colorless blender is really a lifesaver, and if that isn't working, you can always use a white jelly roll pen and just fix those tiny boo-boos that you might make. So I have here an A2 sized panel. I used the basic rectangles to get one. And then, as I said, my favorite stencil from my favorite things is a watercolor wash stencil. So I am just going to use that. Here I'm figuring out what to do. Originally, I wanted to have my crab in the center of my card. And then I just wasn't feeling it. But it can be done as well. But I'm going to put it on the corner, and then I will play a bit with the sentiment to make it extra fun. So the colors that I'm using today for the ink blending is Cracked Pistachio and Lucky Clover. Lucky Clover is a really great addition to the Cracked Pistachio. Cracked Pistachio truly is my all-time favorite. It's a really light color as well. But like the Lucky Clover is like, yeah, you will see it. It's really spicing up the Cracked Pistachio, and it blends really well all together. So I have an area here on the right side of the card that will be darker, and then I'm just blending into the Cracked Pistachio, and then my crab will jump out in the lighter area on the left bottom corner. So next up, I decided to do a bit of splattering. I'm going to use some white gouache. I have sacrificed this acrylic block, it's a tiny one from Fawn, to add my my white gouache, and it's something that I didn't do before. Beforehand, I used an acrylic block, I washed it off and everything like that, and I must recommend this because my white gouache is almost completely used up. And I am actually, each time that I'm using now white gouache to splatter around, I am reactivating the gouache on the acrylic block. And it has been a lifesaver because I'm almost running out of it, and this is my white gouache that I have. On the other hand, I must admit that sometimes I miss my tiny acrylic block. I think that in total I have 3 acrylic blocks, including this one, this tiny one. So sometimes when I have to add just a few stars in the background, I'm missing this one. I might have to invest in some acrylic blocks. It's always handy. I don't like to free stamp myself. I'm not really good at it. So I use my Misty all the time, but for some backgrounds or just to put something heavy on top of multiple layers, it can be handy. Okay. Enough about the acrylic block and the white gouache. Here I am going to figure out my sentiment. Now I wanted to, well, add a bit of humor in this card because I describe so much fun and it's laughing and such. So I decided to create my sentiment part with dies, well, these die cut letters, to just let it stand out, oh crap. And then I'm going to use a part of a sentiment to go underneath. The thing was that I originally wanted to use some basic birthday sentiments, but it just wasn't working out with that. So later on I'm going to use a Nutty Friends stamp set by Crafty Meraki. There is a sentiment in it that actually inspired me for this sentiment. but I changed it up because there it's with squirrels, and here with the crab, so I changed up the sentiment. And the alpha dice that I've used here is from my favorite things. It's the Bitty Banner alphabet, just in case you're wondering. So I fixed those boo-boos again with the white jelly roll pen. The colorless blender is not always as handy whenever I'm using the red color family. It's a really dark color, so sometimes it's just not working out. White jelly roll pen for the win. So here's the sentiment. I was wondering where I was going to add it. I knew that my crab would move, so to not interfere with the sentiment, I decided to add my sentiment on the bottom right later on. But before I'm doing that, I wanted to make sure that I had the O crab exactly how I positioned it right now. So what did I do? I made sure that my panel was adhered to my craft area. Then I used some more purple tape. I lifted up the O crab, and I'm just adding some liquid glue here, and then I'm going to fold it back over exactly where I originally placed it. And I let it dry. So there is one of my other acrylic blocks. Really handy to have, and definitely if you can free stamp yourself things, well, it's a must-have, I think. So here the O crab. Next I'm going to add the second part of the sentiment before adhering the crab, because otherwise in the misty lots can go wrong. So I ended up adding it in the corner on the bottom there. It was just fitting over there. I was so happy with it. So taking my Misty, going to add panel inside of it, going to mask off part of the sentiment, or if you can also really carefully ink the sentiment itself. But I prefer just masking a tiny bit off than inking, just to be sure. Don't forget to remove the mask, because otherwise there will be a big blob on top of your card. Stamping once again. There we go. And if there's just a tiny part, not all the way, you can just do it without the mask as well. I'm going to adhere my panel first to my card base. I use some adhesive roller, and then I'm going to take the Action Wobbler. I have a few. I don't make tons of interactive cards, but I must admit that this one, and what did I use? A slider kind of interactive card that works for me. It's a tiny things. It's also really simple, so it stays clean and simple even though it's interactive, so people are really amazed. But there are so many ways to create interactive cards, and some really complicated ones as well. I keep it simple. So here the only thing that I extra did was to add some glossy accents to the eyes, because of course it's too much fun to not do it. Those big eyes just have to stand out. And then wobble! I am so glad with how this card turned out. I think that Schnapps really jumps out of this card, and I hope that you think the same way. If you haven't seen all of the new digital stamps that are released, definitely check it out. You will love them all. It's really fun. And who knows, maybe I will be able to feature some more in the future. I have no clue. But enjoy the giveaway as well. Take a chance. You never know. Thank you so much for being here and watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I wish you all an incredible day. Bye!